Hello to all the Atlanta United fans. My name is Jurgen Damm, and you are watching Scarves and Spike, an Atlanta United podcast.
Scars and Spikes, Sydney, Henry, Tyler with you as we get you ready for Atlanta United versus the Colorado Rapids. Gentlemen, Montreal is in the rearview mirror. We now head out west, metaphorically speaking, to the Rocky Mountains. A rare trip, gentlemen, to Commerce City, Colorado. Have either of you been there, by the way, to Commerce City, Colorado, or to Denver, the greater Denver area? Yes, no.
I've not.
Tyler?
I've not been there. I've never been to Colorado,
Beautiful.
actually.
Beautiful state. Henry, have you been?
Never been to Colorado.
Beautiful state. Garden of the Gods, the mountains. It's just a gorgeous state. I recommend anyone who is looking to take a trip out there, definitely do that at some point. You know who is doing that, though, is Atlanta United. This is just the fifth match, gentlemen, between the two teams. I keep saying gentlemen. This is like the third time I said gentlemen this show.
Well, what else would you say?
Already. Well, you are a gentleman. But
you just said it 3 times there, just pointing it out.
Just to remind you.
You get a gentleman counter in the chat?
Right. No, first trip since 2023. I say rare. It's not rare. This will be the 6th time they've played each other. So we'll talk about that. Mark Rogodino, I believe, is calling that match for MLS Season Pass. He will be on with us a little later to talk about MLS in general and whatever else is on his mind. By the way, guys, I was going to bring this up a little bit later, but Marcelo Balboa, the U.S. men's national team legend, is getting his number retired by the Rapids after Saturday's match. Did you guys know that coming in?
I did know that. I had heard some, what is the word, scuttlebutt?
Yes.
Yeah. Henry
What a word.
about this. Marcelo Balboa, who we need to get back on the show as well. He hasn't been on in about 2 years, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, legend. I'm glad that it's happening. He deserves it. Also, maybe we can touch on this at some point during the show. Lots of drama in the U.S. soccer circle over the past 24 hours.
Do you think Marcelo Balboa would call out his predecessors that played before him on the U.S. men's national team at all?
Never. Never. He would do no such thing.
Right. That's a whole other show in and of itself. We don't. I'll just say this, guys. We don't want to call out the U.S. men's national team too much. We don't want to be seen as evil.
Yeah, like that. Bunch of jerks.
Yeah.
On the podcast trying to get clicks and subscribers.
Clicks. Yeah. They should, those guys should win something before they start talking crap about everybody else,
How dare people talk about us?
I know. I know. Shame on them. But yeah, that's a whole other thing. And that's a whole other episode for another day. But we're here to talk about Atlanta United in general, guys. Like I said, Colorado Rapids coming up on Saturday, 9:30 kickoff. So maybe some Five Stripes After Dark action going on at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. I want to start out kind of talking about Latte Lot, Emmanuel Latte Lot. And I know everybody has an opinion on him, especially after Saturday's match against Montreal. He should have had a brace. Should have had a brace in that one. And I see Isaac saying in the chat, imagine missing 2 open goals. And by the way, if you're listening to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or iHeart, we're live every Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time on YouTube. So if you are able to, join us live, join us in the chat. If you're listening after the fact, obviously on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeart, please leave a rating, leave a review, let us know how we're doing. But he was spoken to at Tuesday's training, and Doug Robertson from the AJC asked him, how his season has been going, how he described his season. He said, tough, difficult, takes a lot of energy. It's a mental season. And Henry, that kind of raised my eyebrows because you were just talking about it the other day. I think on our 3 takeaways on YouTube that maybe it's just a matter of, just needed to get away from it all for a little bit. He's been playing, I feel like, nonstop for the better part of a year. And yeah, we talked about some names that have needed maybe that second season in MLS to get right, or second or third season, I should say. Sam Surridge, Hugo Kuipers up in Chicago.
Muriel.
Everyone, Luis Muriel at Orlando City. But that kind of brought to mind what you were just saying. Obviously you want him to take those chances as much as he can, but maybe that's all he needs is just a nice little vacation, some time away from the team. So again, that's what kind of raised my eyebrows about that.
Yeah, and you said it. He's been playing soccer nonstop for the better part of a year. Obviously, for us, he came in and it was right before the start of the MLS regular season, but he came from Middlesbrough, which was competing in England in the championship, and their season starts in August. So he was in the middle of his season and coming over to start a whole new season. And he's been playing pretty much nonstop. And so, it takes a toll, I think. And I think you kind of saw that with Thiago Almada to an extent when, he had World Cup and then Atlanta United and then, Argentina U23 or whatever. He just had a whole bunch of stuff. And he was basically, I think at one point he got burnt out because he was just there was just too much soccer. And that's a thing. That's a real thing that can happen. And it doesn't help when you come to MLS with the pressure that he was under to perform as the league's most expensive signing. And he can't really sustain those performances. And then the team, their season just tanks. And I think from there, it all kind of compounds, right? It all adds on to each other. And I think at this point, he probably just needs a rest. He probably just needs some time away from all of this craziness and folks, criticizing him on social media, to get away from all this. I mean, and like we've criticized him, and I think it's fair criticism. I think it's fair criticism. I don't think it's like unwarranted, but at the same time, that has to affect him to some extent. So, I think he just really needs for this season to be over, for him to have a nice rest, a nice vacation, come back for preseason, recharged. Your teammates a little bit more, because remember, this guy, he barely got preseason. He played in the last preseason game before the season started, and then it was like, boom, you're in, right? We didn't even know who was going to start the first game. He started the first game, and it was on from there. So go get yourself a rest, come back for preseason with a team that a little bit better, that's going to be, I think, better equipped come next, 2026. Hopefully. And come back and hopefully have a little Goss Theorem season for you. Have a little bounce back in your second full season in MLS. And I think the jury's still out on him, and he deserves that second full season.
Yeah, I'll say this just real quick before Tyler, we get your take. I just feel like it's much tougher. It's easy to say, just put your head down and silence the haters. It's easy for us to say sitting here on the other side of the pitch. It's not as easy for some players, not as easy for all players. I mean, Zaha, he went through it his early stages in MLS early this season. Now a switch has flipped and he's a much better player. But it's easier for some players to kind of just put their heads down, and for others, it's a little bit more difficult. I think to some extent, you're seeing that with Latte Lot. Just kind of that. He said, I feel comfortable. I haven't had any difficulties adjusting to Atlanta, but I think the larger issues, like you said, Henry, the pressure, can wear on you. And definitely that's what we're seeing with Latte Lot, I think. And it's been tough for him to kind of shake it off, right?
Yeah, I think Latte Lot is one of those guys who you kind of saw it with Giacomakis as well. Though Giacomakis, I think, came in with his consistency scoring goals, but he couldn't stay healthy.
Also with a lot of confidence.
A lot of confidence, yeah. And to be fair, I think Latte Love came in with confidence as well. I think they both just project it differently.
Yeah.
But Latte Love doesn't have the benefit of, and it's funny to say this now, at least a more well-rounded team that Giakoumakis had and a Thiago Almada that Giakoumakis had.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this team as a whole has not been great this year. The team hasn't clicked the way that they need to, and your striker is inevitably going to suffer because of that. Now, he has to do better with a lot of the things that he's been missing on, namely open goals, chances, things like that.
Oh, for sure.
Isaac mentioning in the chat, imagine missing 2 open goals. I mean, yeah, you know, the thing is, like, these moments have to come good at some point. But y'all know that I am not a big stat person. I am a big eye test person. And I think the eye test has shown, at least in a lot of things, he does well. The finishing is not where it needs to be. So we go back to that conversation about confidence. The confidence has not been where I think it needs to be. And I think that's the whole team. I think it's shot from the really bad run that they went into at the beginning of the season. But you look at the stats, and this is where I have some optimism and some hope. You guys talking about folks that, you know, Sam Surridge, that couldn't hit the blind side of a barn, you know, when they got here. And then all of a sudden they turned it around. And you look at a guy like Olivier Giroud, who just never could get it right. Olivier Giroud, though, just was ineffective, which is wild to say about a guy like him.
Yeah.
But you look at Latte Loth's stats, and obviously he's underperforming on his expected goals, but his expected goals are in the top third of the league right now. Expected goals on target, top almost third of the league. He's in the top third in shots, midway-ish, a little higher than midway on shots on target, near the top chances created. And then what's interesting is his possession numbers. He's at the top in just about every possession number, good possession number that you could think of. So, like, I say all that to say, if you look at the way this team is trying to build, you bring in Alzate, you shore up your defense, we hope. You connect that midfield with the front and the back, and you allow Latte Loth a little bit more freedom, and Miggy a little bit more freedom, and Moranchuk a little bit more freedom. I think some of these numbers start trending back the direction they need to.
Right.
But I don't think that's going to happen this year. Nor do I think it's necessary. I mean, you're kind of out of it at this point. Yeah. But you go into 2026 after that long break, that rest, that vacation. Let him go hang out with his family, go back overseas. He has a new little one here. Like, get his moment.
Yeah.
And come back and lock in for 2026.
Oh, definitely. And, you know, you're talking, kind of mentioning the playoffs, Tyler. Saba also spoke at training on TCs, and he was says, you know, kind of about the playoffs. I don't have the exact quote in front of me. He said, yeah, we believe. And Latte Lot was the same way. We believe nothing's impossible. And I feel like, yes, it's true. Mathematically, it's not impossible to get to the playoffs, but yeah, it's pretty much, the season is a wash at this point. And I want to see him, everyone, but I want to see him end the season on a high note, put on some goals that weren't coming earlier this season. And you can look at things and say, hey, I didn't have the best season, but I ended well. I finished strong, and I can take this into 2026. I can go back home to Ivory Coast or England or wherever, Europe, and relax. Not have to worry about football for a little bit, then come back to Atlanta, be ready to go and really ready to help the team win. So wanted to kind of visit that and just kind of talk through, sort of what Latte Lot's thoughts were.
I'll say this really quick too. Brian said in the chat, Olivier Giroud got 3 goals since he left.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of times what it comes down to. It's not just the player not playing well. We know good and well that Atlanta United hasn't exactly benefited him for most of the season in providing him the service that he needs. Now, recently it's been a lot better. And then that's where it falls on the striker to do the striker's job.
Mm-hmm.
But man, if you go 6 months of essentially missing a main tool to do your job, and then you're just trying to figure it out for 6 months, and then somebody hands you that tool and says, "Here, now go do something with it," you're gonna be like, "Oh, crap. Let me get used to using this thing again." And that kind of feel like that's how Latte Life is right now. Like he's finally getting service, and it's like, oh God, I've got to perform. And I think the pressure is some of it, absolutely tiredness, and I think that break will do him really well.
You know what will do our viewers and listeners really well, by the way, guys?
What is that?
Going to scarsandspikes.com and reading our Atlanta United coverage, Tyler's or Henry's rises and fallers, player ratings, Tyler's first reaction after every single match, recaps, the whole 9 yards. That's at scarsandspikes.com. Also has a link to our store if you want to go purchase hoodies, sweatshirts, hats, glasses, the whole 9 yards. You can do that. It helps support the coverage that we provide at scarsandspikes.com and the Scars and Spikes podcast. Patreon.com/scarsandspikes. It's another great way to support us. Every tier, all 3 tiers start at $1.17 a month, gets you access to our Discord. Higher tiers get you access to bonus audio and video content that you won't find anywhere else. So check that out as well. Like, subscribe, share our content on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, maybe if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeart, like I said earlier, subscribe and leave a rating or review over there and let us know how we are doing. And of course, we're on social media. Scars, the letter, and Spikes on X, scarsandspikes.com on Blue Sky. So, Colorado. I mentioned Marcelo Balboa is getting his number retired after the match, so congrats to him. But this is a Rapids team, guys, that is in a little bit of transition. Jordy Mihailovic, of course, traded to Toronto FC a few weeks ago, and obviously Colorado fans weren't too happy with that move, and I feel like they've been happy with a lot of moves that Colorado has made over the years, but they're still in the playoff race. They beat Minnesota 2-1 last weekend. They're still in the playoff race, and their game, or a point back, I should say, of Austin FC for 7th, 1 point ahead of San Jose, 2 ahead of RSL, in that really tight playoff race, guys. So I guess I'll just give my initial thoughts, and then maybe Henry, you can jump in, and Tyler. This is a team kind of obviously more to play for than Atlanta United, but a lot of desperation because the optics of them missing the playoffs after trading away arguably its best player aren't going to look good. Now, to hear Mihailovic tell it, sounded like the culture wasn't really conducive to winning football. I'm sure Colorado fans will echo that based on what they've seen. But again, this is a team that is in the playoff spots right now, and they're desperate to get to the playoffs and maybe make something happen. I don't think they're an elite team by any stretch of the imagination in the Western Conference. I don't think they're an elite team in the West. I think they're much better teams, but
yeah,
I feel like they have a lot to prove, especially with Mihailovic now at Toronto. Desperate team, kind of, to get to the playoffs.
Yeah, and as you said, they are in that playoff bubble in the Western Conference, which it's a very interesting race because not a lot is separating like 12th from 7th. Right. So it's literally any one of those like 5-6 teams could jump into the playoffs. Colorado is one of those teams, and they are currently in a play-in spot, the 8th seed. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I mean, you prefer to be in the play-in seed than not in the playoffs. But
technically it's playoffs, technically not.
You don't want to be in the play-in seed, right? You want to be a little bit better. And so they are motivated to kind of, I mean, they're not far off from just the 7th seed. They are 1 point back from Austin, like you just said.
Yeah.
So they're going to be highly motivated here. They know that they've got tons riding on this game and the rest of their games for this season. They're at home. I think that favors them a lot. Playing at altitude is something that Atlanta isn't great at, and most teams struggle at. Really, it's an advantage for them. It's kind of like, it reminds me of the advantage that Bolivia has. Like, Bolivia is like one of the most mid teams in South America, but when they play at home, they can destroy Argentina or Brazil because it's like they basically suffocate them up on that freaking mountain where they play. Exactly. So that is a factor to take into account. Yet, ironically, their home record, I mean, they've been beaten at home. Yeah. It's it's not as great as one would expect, and I'm gonna look up their exact home record, but they've struggled at times.
6-5-2.
6-5-2.
6-5-2.
There you go. So, like you just said, Mihailovic being gone is a huge change. I think, and I'm gonna ask whoever I have for across the pitch, which I'm getting that sorted, but we're gonna talk about, how does that change what they're doing? And it seems like from some of the stuff that they're doing that they are probably going to be shifting to a back five. It seems like, they loaned in Noah Cobb, I guess
heard of him,
but he's a familiar face over here in Atlanta, homegrown, but he's going to be there for the rest of the season. They just signed a center back, Australian center back, get their name, Lucas Harrington, on a 4-year deal. So they have them, and then obviously, they're starting partnership of Rob Holding and Andreas Maxo. It seems like they're gearing up to have kind of that more defensive posture from what I'm seeing, and I'm going to confirm this again, but it looks like they're trying to kind of solidify the back, kind of go from there, and potentially look to turn things in possession and get stuff to their main man in Rafael Navarro, who has, I believe it's 9 goals this season now. So I think that's probably what they're going to be aiming to do. And it might actually favor Atlanta a little bit. I'm not sure. I'm interested to see how that works, though.
I'll say this real quick. You mentioned Rob Holding. That's a missed opportunity, I feel like. He should have been a midfielder. Be a holding midfielder.
I like it.
That's such
instead of the center back.
Had his opportunity.
End it here. Roll credits.
So long, everyone.
I think, I agree. I kind of wonder, and we kind of talked about this on MLS Monday as well, when the Mihailovic, was a rumor, and it very quickly surpassed being a rumor. But when that happened, we were like, this seems like you're setting up something else. Maybe not in the summer, but certainly in the winter, you would think. And then Mihailovic is on his way out and kind of.
Does it though? It's Colorado.
It is. That's the thing. Common sense would say, like, all right, well, you don't get rid of the guy that's been, your top playmaker, your top assister for no reason at all, like without having a plan. Now, if he is kind of making that.
Tyler, really quick thing though, they technically weren't trying to move him out. He asked for the move.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like if he was forcing it, kind of trying to make it happen, then, that's a different story. But also, you've got a season to worry about. And it just feels like you still don't make that trade unless you can do something and you kind of have an idea what you want to do. Not hoping that the right guy pops up in the winter. You need to have targets. So we'll see. I don't know. But I'll hit on this really quick and then jump back. Edgar was asking who is Alzate going to replace in the starting 11? Muyumba, I think, would be the obvious answer here.
100%.
People said it in the chat, but 100% would be Muyumba. So, and I'm sure you'll see him a lot more than you did in this last match coming up. So,
for sure.
But yeah, jumping over to Noah Cobb, Atlanta fans know what they're getting out of Noah. We've had him on the show before. We've talked to him. We've done articles on him. Like, people have seen him over the past couple of years really come into his own as a really standout center back. And Atlanta's former technical director, and I quote, said he's got future, national team captain written all over him. Like, it's the kind of guy that he is. And he got thrown into the fire in the first match that he was there against Cruz Azul, but then he played against Minnesota, and this dude had 11 defensive actions, 4 interceptions, 4 headed clearances, 4 clearances, 2 blocks, played a ball into the final third 3 times. So, doing everything that I think Atlanta fans have expected out of him and seen from him, and then some. So I think if you're a Noah Cobb fan, you're obviously wanting him to come back to Atlanta, but if he's putting up performances like that, especially if Colorado's trying to maybe orient themselves to be a little more defensive, then he's one that you would want to keep. So we'll see how it plays out. But I think no matter what, this is going to be a tough ask for Atlanta, because it's always the altitude, being up in the mountains. Like, you remember last time they were there,
Yeah.
It was I think it was 3-0, maybe 3-1.
4-0.
Was it 4-0?
Even worse.
4-0 Atlanta, yeah.
There you go.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, 3-0. I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong
3-0.
thing.
Okay.
2022, yeah.
I weirdly remember that match because it was the same night, not to put it down or anything, but a couple of years ago when the whole thing happened down in Querétaro, Mexico, where there was like a stampede and people died. Anyway, same night. And Atlanta had just got done just laying an absolute deuce in the worst way possible up in Colorado. And so, yeah, I mean, it's never been an easy ask for Atlanta. And I kind of wish that they had done something different this year and gotten up there a few days ahead of time.
Yeah.
And acclimated. But now that's not the situation. Now you're getting up there essentially right before. And you're going to have to go through it without getting kind of essentially prepared for it. I mean, you can do all the training you want to, but if you can't breathe, it doesn't matter.
Breathing's important.
Yeah. A little bit.
Sources say that breathing is important to playing a good soccer game. Yeah, I don't know, man. I understood that they had done it in previous years where they would go earlier to Colorado just to get acclimated to it. For some reason, they're not doing it this year. Yeah, that is certainly a choice. Granted, the way that things are going this season, does it really matter?
Yeah, right. Yeah. I do want to ask you, Henry, how has Colombia fared at Bolivia in recent years?
Oh, God. Gosh, that is a great question. Let me actually...
In recent memory.
Let me actually look it up. In recent memory, I mean, last year they went and lost, if I remember correctly. Yeah, in World Cup qualifying.
Oh, yeah.
Which is not a surprise. But I think Argentina went and also lost, if I'm not mistaken. Hold on. Okay, well, I'm gonna look it up. If you want to filibuster for me, I will.
Argentina, if I remember correctly, did end up getting beat.
I think so. It's common for even the big teams to get to lose up there because they and here's the thing, right? We joke about it all the time, but it's like Argentina are the biggest freaking crybabies in South America. They complain about everything. If it isn't like pitch perfect conditions, they cannot play soccer. Like, oh my gosh, the grass was cut 2 centimeters too short. We can't play in these conditions. It's too hot. It's too cold. I can't breathe. I can't do anything. Like, well, come on, guys. Y'all played. Y'all.
You're gonna be back here next year, by the way.
Well, yeah.
We're World Cup
in North America. You can't complain about this. It's just absurd to me that like some of these players grew up playing in like the streets and whatever, and like whatever patch of mud that you could play on, and now you're complaining playing in stadiums worth billions. Like, come on.
That's true. That's a good point. Like, have you forgotten? Like, yeah, what you've come from, really? So
when they said it last year at the end of Copa America, I was like, dude, get out of here with that. That is I mean, you won the game, by the way.
They complain about everything, dude. Everything.
It was too bouncy. Get out of here, man. The ball bounces
while they're holding up the trophy.
Right.
By the way, Henry, October 10th, 2024, Bolivia beat Colombia 1-0 with 10 men, by the way.
Yeah.
It took Kayada to get sent off in the 20th minute, but Tesoro scored in the 58th for Bolivia, who I don't know where they are in qualifying right now.
They are, I believe, 6th.
Okay.
Which,
so still in the hunt.
Which has them in for the World Cup because I think it's like 7 teams that qualify.
Okay, out of CONMEBOL. Okay. Interesting.
Yes. So actually, quick thing before we do move on. Oh, wait, did I get it wrong? Yeah, I got it wrong. Bolivia's 8th. My bad. But yeah, quick thing. Altitude not only affects your breathing, it also affects the ball because the ball flies even more when you're at altitude. It is a science thing, but when you hit the ball, it gets tough. So latte lot, I'm a little nervous about going into this. He's gonna blast the ball and it's gonna land like in the parking lot.
Right.
But yeah, that's another thing to be careful about.
Yeah, no, definitely. And, in baseball, the Colorado Rockies play at Coors Field. That's why you see a lot of home runs at Coors Field for that very reason. while we wait for Mark Rogondino to jump on board, again, just a quick reminder, scarfsandspikes.com for all of our coverage. Real quick, Miranchuk continues to score 5 goals in 7 matches. We talked about it the other day, but I didn't realize, guys, until later on that Luke Brennan was credited with an assist on that goal. Did you guys realize that?
Yeah, his little header over to to set him up.
Of course, it would be something like that he finally gets some credit on after all the hard work that he's done getting into the box and doing everything else, taking on guys 1v1. It's this like weird cluster of a situation at the end of the game that he finally gets some credit.
Actually, I'm looking at MLSsoccer.com, and looks like he was not credited with an assist.
What?
So I thought I heard somewhere he got a first assist.
Bro,
was it wrong?
Shafted again.
I could have sworn he got an assist.
Yeah, me too. I thought I read that somewhere. I could be totally wrong.
Well, but, that's lame.
I'll give you one last fun fact really quick.
Yes.
As we get ready to bring in Mark.
Yes.
We're talking about altitude, right? And we're talking about Bolivia and Colorado. I was just double checking because I knew there was a pretty big difference. I didn't realize how big of a difference it was. So Colorado, the Rapids play essentially it's a mile. That's why they call it the Mile High City, but it's 5,200 feet above sea level. Bolivia, they play almost 12,000 feet.
Oh my gosh.
You should bring the oxygen.
How high do planes fly?
30,000. So you're almost halfway to a plane.
Gee, man.
That's insane. Well, Mark Rogondino, I believe, will be calling that match on Saturday. We bring him now from MLS Season Pass. Mark, how are you? Thanks for joining us today.
Well, hey, always a pleasure to step onto a new platform with some new faces. And for me, actually, talk about a new team because I have not seen Atlanta since season 1 of MLS Season Pass. I don't get to get out to that side of the country too often. So I'm actually really excited to see this team and see, obviously, for you guys, if they can get a first road win of the year.
No, absolutely. It should be an interesting match. I mean, we were just talking about before you came on, Georgi Mihailovic getting traded to Colorado, or not Colorado, but Toronto, and mentioning, how Rapids fans were pretty obviously upset because there goes your leading chance creator for the Rapids, and they're in a playoff hunt. I feel like the timing of the trade is just very curious, given that they're in such a tight playoff hunt in the Western Conference.
Really interesting timing, yes, for sure. I mean, obviously, we all saw some big moves before the season with Luchi Acosta moving, Evander moving. But the interesting thing for me was I was on the game. I think it was the last Leagues Cup game it was against Cholos. And so Heath and I are there, and literally we had already had the call with Chris Armas earlier in the week. He's always good about giving us what's going to go on with the team. And 35 minutes before we're about to go on air, hey, late change, personal, that Mihailovic is out and Yapi and Harris are both going to start. And usually they don't both start together, one or the other. And so, but they said personal reasons. And on the Spanish side, who will actually be on the call this weekend as well, is Jorge Perez Navarro and Marcelo Balboa.
Yeah.
And, we're all talking before we go on air, and Marcelo's like, I wonder if he's getting moved. And I was like, no way. There's no chance that they're going to move Mihailovic, man. They signed a big deal with him. He set a mark for goal contributions last year. Lo and behold, I think, 2 days later after the match, Heath Pierce, my partner, texts me and he goes, Marcelo, you hit it. And I told you so, Rogo. And so, but you always wonder when these kind of moves happen with any club, you always wonder, what is the next shoe to fall? What is the next step now that they've opened a DP spot? Like, who are they going after? And that'll be the interesting thing to see in the next, because they got some good talent. I mean, it's a good talented team. And, but to give away a huge piece, basically your Batman or your Robin, whatever you want to call Rafa Navajo, if he's Batman, then Mihailovic was Robin and vice versa. But they gave away one pretty big piece.
Yeah, 100%. I gotta ask. I got a caveat because we don't get opportunities like this very often. But you talked about Marcelo Balboa. It's been a minute. He was on the show. It's probably a year and a half, two years ago. But now this game kind of has a special meaning Have you talked to him about that with the retirement and the number and all?
Absolutely. We were actually on the road together again this past weekend for a game, and in Austin. It was Austin and Houston Dynamo. And I get a feeling that there is some surprises that he doesn't know about in terms of maybe some people that could be there to support him.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is obviously very, very well deserved. Marcelo lives just outside of the Denver area, and he's been dedicated to this team even past when he left and stopped playing for them. He was always on the regional broadcast for them, and always waved the flag of the Rapids. So I know that he is extremely excited, and to be honest, Heath Pierce, my partner, we've spoken about it a couple of times. I'm super honored to have the opportunity to be and call this game and be there on a night like that for him. It's going to make the stiffer and more of a test for Atlanta United. Yeah. Especially considering with the struggles they've had of late. But you never know. I mean, I've seen it happen both ways, right? Where Colorado come out guns blazing, they could be really, really good, clinical, and it could be a really tough night, a long night for Atlanta United. Or is the focus the other way? And the team is thinking about, we have to get the win because we're retiring a Legends number, and all of a sudden they don't play really well collectively together, and Atlanta gets that early goal, and all of a sudden the landscape of the game is very different then.
No, definitely. Actually, appreciate that. I know you've worked closely with him over the past few years, and looking forward to hopefully having him back on the show in the near future. But looking forward to seeing all the pictures and images from that retirement ceremony over there in Commerce City, Colorado. From a neutral standpoint, Atlanta. I mean, obviously, it's been surprising to see how they've played, especially with the amount of money they've put into this attack. Lott especially. Do you think it's just a matter of him just needing that time off at the end of the season to recharge his batteries and come back hopefully stronger in 2026, or it could be just something deeper?
Like I said, this is the first time I'm going to see Atlanta live. In the last couple of days, I've really started to dig into them as a team. Because I haven't seen them and want to make sure that I'm ready for the call. I just can't believe that this Atlanta team with this much talent, especially going forward, like in their top six, not just Latte Lot, but Moranchuk, Almiron on the wide positions. I just can't believe that they struggled this much. And when you look at the results, right? Anytime that they hold a team to say just one goal or even a zero, which they did, I think 6 weeks was the last time right before Leagues Cup. They don't get enough goals, right? They don't get enough goal chances. They don't score enough. But then when they allow a team 2 or 3, they're able to keep pace, but often they've come out on the losing end. The one thing that would be frustrating to me when I look at this club is one of the premier teams in this league, I think, is Cincinnati. And Atlanta's played Cincinnati really good this year, right? They beat them once, and I think they drew the other time. So I'm just really surprised that they only have 4 wins. And with this much talent, I assume you guys are ear to the ground with the fan base. It's just got to be a season of frustration. And the hard part is going to be the window, the margin for error, and the window to actually try and maybe grab a 9th or 8th playoff spot is so slim right now. I mean, with 9 games left in the regular season for them, and I thought that coming out of Leagues Cup, I think it was their last game of Leagues Cup, they won, right? The last game, they put the beating on they put the beating 4-1 on somebody, yeah. And you would think that would have translated to the right back to match day 28, and it didn't. I mean, they got 1-1. I saw Montreal up close and personal, maybe their last game of Leagues Cup, and Montreal's not a good team. They're not loaded. They're not a great team. But to think that it took a late equalizer to salvage a point on the road, and hey, points on the road in this league are a good thing. But to think that they couldn't beat a Montreal team that they beat pretty good early in the year. I think it was match day 1, actually. Yeah. I was just surprised because I thought that the Leagues Cup 4-1 win would give you some collective spirit together. Your energy would be feeling good. All right, hey, then we got 10 games left, starting with match day 28, and we're going to Montreal. It's not like as if it's 40 degrees in Montreal right now, like it could be back in February or March, or how it could be in the end of October. I was there the other night at Stade Saputo. It was 75 degrees and perfect, and the field was perfect, and that's a team that's struggling. So, again, that's frustrating. The word for me is frustration for Atlanta United right now. And that's a shame because the league is better when Atlanta United is really, really good and competing at the top of the East.
Now, Mark, you talked about, preparing for this game and seeing two teams that are, I guess, in slightly different situations, you could say. Atlanta, kind of close to the bottom of the East, just not really truly in this playoff race. I mean, they're 14 points back. It's a struggle. Colorado, they're right in that bubble, right? There's about 5 teams that are separated by very few points, and they are highly motivated to win this game and continue in that playoff hunt. What are kind of your first impressions looking at this matchup? Where do you think the key points are for this game?
Well, just as I joined you guys before you brought me in, I heard you talking about the altitude, and yes, 5,260 feet above sea level is exactly where Dick's Sporting Goods Park is. And I've been there actually quite a lot over the last 3 years, covering the Rapids. And if teams, in this case, Atlanta United, can take a couple of jabs across the chin in the first 15 to 20 minutes when you're really trying to grasp for air and you're really trying to get your body acclimated, then you have a chance at taking that first wave of hits and then settling in and starting to play the way you want to play. So the first 15, 20 minutes are going to be crucial, as they are for any road team, but especially when you go to play in altitude, because, RSL has altitude too, but it's not what Colorado is. I think there's about a 2,000 foot difference in between those two. So, that's going to be the tough thing. I have not looked at the forecast, so I don't know what it's going to be, but I assume it's going to be warm, probably in the upper 80s by the time we kick this one off. And so when I look at it, I first think about that. How well can you acclimate yourself quickly to the altitude conditions? And almost, listen, I'll be on the elliptical, you guys, at the hotel room trying to stay camera friendly for the game. And I'm already out of breath after like 15, 20 minutes. But so I can only imagine what these guys are like, full sprint, stop, go in these first 15 minutes. So can you acclimate there? And what doubles on top of that, what Colorado does really well, is they high press you. And so if Atlanta is if they get out on the front foot, the Rapids, and Atlanta is forced to try and play through pressure in the early going, those turnovers happen closer to Atlanta's goal. And all of a sudden it's 1-2 passes, and Navajo is a killer. He's one of the most underrated number 9s in our league. The defensive work that he does, the pressure that he puts on the ball to help cause those turnovers is really, really good. And I don't know that he gets enough credit for that. And of course, in the box, the guy is, really, really good. So when they turn that ball over and all of a sudden they're less than 30 yards, they're right on the edge of the attacking third, and it's 1-2 passes and you've got an open chance. They got really good wingers. It's going to be tough. But I will say this, when I saw them without Mihailovic, they don't hit that gear, and it'll be 3 matches since that trade has happened. They don't hit that gear as quickly because he can dice you up and carve you up with one good pass, and he can pick out Navajo. He can pick out Harris making that run in behind your back line with one pass, and they'll try and do it. I think probably my guess is, I haven't had my discussion with Chris Armas yet, but my guess is they'll try and do it with Cole Bassett, and probably Laraz sitting a little bit deeper is probably what I would expect from them. But Bassett is not the passer that Mihailovic is.
And you talk about kind of how the Rapids have changed, and I know you're saying it's been a minute since you've paid any real attention or had any real reason to pay attention to Atlanta United.
That's because of my assignments. That's not my decision.
No.
Listen, I'm ready. I'm ready for a trip to the ATL. I got friends out there. I love Mercedes-Benz. I want to come and see the whole. I've actually done. I've done a Falcons game out there. On another gig that I used to do, but I have never called a Five Stripes game from Mercedes-Benz.
Well, I hope you do it when they're playing much better, so you can get the full experience. Because it genuinely is, and we talk about it a lot. It is a special place for an Atlanta United game, and it's totally different than a Falcons game. Like the atmosphere is night and day. But 2017 to now, we've had up and downs and changes and everything else. Obviously, this is like one of the lowest points that the team has had. But in the summer window, the front office has admittedly done about as much as I think you could reasonably ask for to try to remedy something or at least prepare them for 2026. You have guys like Juan Betacol, who is new center back that came in alongside Mihai, who is the other new center back that came in. And then you have who we saw just a few minutes of, Steven Alzate, who spent some time with Ronnie Dyla already over at Standard Liège, and they kind of have that relationship. And he's the one that I'm most curious about going into this one. But for the reasons you mentioned, Colorado does have that ability, maybe not as much as they did, but to cause those turnovers and immediately punch you in the mouth. Alzate is going to be the one primarily responsible for that. But how difficult, just in your history calling matches and seeing new players come in, how difficult is it for a guy who may have experience to step into the conditions that Alzate is going to be required to step in at altitude, new country, just got here, new team, everything, and actually make a difference?
I think the difficulty is twofold. First of all, MLS is a very physical league. And so a lot of times players that come from outside of the CONCACAF region, they have a difficult time adapting to the physicality. In this case, he's obviously not, Alzate is not going to be directly on Rafa Navajo. He's not going to be marking him man for man. And I will say this, the good thing that you have is you have a veteran like Brad back there as the final set of eyes, who will see, he will track the movements, and he will probably call out things to give the two or three guys in front of him a heads up to say, oh, hey, you better watch this movement on the back post, because all of a sudden you look to the back post and then you got another runner coming through on the weak side. So Brad's experience is going to be instrumental in any result for this team going forward. As you guys have seen, I mean, he doesn't make the saves that he used to. Like I saw the one Lutori off the post the other night, right? Brad was stuck in cement. And previous years, Brad, when he was younger, he would have dove out to his left and at least made sure he had to get a fingertip onto it to tip it wide if he had to. But that's what you take with a 40-year-old goalkeeper who has just a wealth of experience, and his brain can think the game faster than probably 90% of the guys on the field now, right? He's seen so much that he's going to help these guys in front of him. So that's number one, adapting to the physicality, and then just getting to know the guys around you. That's the hard part. And for Ronnie, that will be the thing that he has to stress is, guys, you got to trust each other in these moments. We've been working on this for the last couple of weeks since these new faces have come in. You have to trust each other in these moments. You have to trust to play the ball into your six who's checking into a pocket of space, and know that he's not going to lose it in that moment, or he's going to be able to touch it out wide to one of your outside backs who's getting into some space. Because if you don't play that ball into the six and you don't trust that he's going to do it, it's going to be a really long night. It's going to be a really long night, because then you're only trying to play wide. They're pinching you into the corners, and what will happen is you just start serving the ball over the top. They regain possession and they run right back at you. And so the sixes and the eights are going to have a really, really hard job on Saturday night, but you have to trust that they will hold the ball, either pick up a foul, you get a free kick, you move everybody further up the field, or that they will hold the ball and be able to play diagonally into pockets of space on the wide positions in this field. There's plenty of space. It's a great field there at Dick's Sporting Goods Park, but you have to have trust if you're some of these new guys, and I'm sure that's going to be part of his message going into the match.
I feel like you just summed up Atlanta's entire season. Getting pinched in the corner, playing balls over the top, and then all of a sudden it's going the other direction.
Yeah.
That's how it's been.
But like I was watching the highlights from the Montreal game, and I mean, Miggy got into some really good spots, but it's just finishing off those movements. And you were asking me about Latte Lat, like he got hot earlier in the year. He got hot, and all of a sudden, I think it was like basically like 4 to 8 weeks into the season, all of a sudden he was finding his feet. Atlanta got a couple of results, and because that was, I think, when they had back-to-back wins, including the win against Cincinnati, right? And it's probably right around like 7-8 weeks into the season through about week 12. But that's what happens with some of these new guys in this league. They get a little hot streak. They start thinking you figured it. It's like my golf game. You start thinking you figured it out, and then all of a sudden I just shank it into the woods 3 times in a row.
That sums up golf entirely.
Yeah.
By the way, one of my really good friends, this is why I want to come to the ATL too. He lives out in Sugarloaf, and he had me out there a couple of times. Wow, man, what a place!
Yeah,
it really is. I've not been to the
have clubs.
Yeah,
have clubs. We'll travel.
There you go.
Play some golf when you get here. I suck, but that's okay.
Have you been to East Lake at all, or no? Out here in Atlanta?
I have not been to East Lake. I have not been to East Lake. No.
Okay.
One of my, if any of you are old school wrestling fans, my first experience, I am not. Right. I'll put it out there. But one of my old buddies who now calls a lot of boxing, his name's Todd Grisham, and he was an announcer. He lived in Atlanta for a long time, and so I would come out there and visit him when he was doing his thing, and we'd cross paths and just try and touch base and play a little golf, hang out, and keep the friendship going. But he's one of my really, really good friends. That he doesn't live there anymore in ATL anymore. Actually, he's moved out of the town. But he was my connection to Atlanta for many, many years before Atlanta United even came into the league, which was what was it? 2017.
Yeah.
2017. Yeah.
One of our co-hosts is not here, Tommy. I'm sure you guys heard of him, but he's a huge wrestling fan. So we'll have to let Tommy know that you brought up Todd Grisham. I'm sure Tommy knows exactly who that is.
Right.
Yeah, but you mentioned you've called a lot of Western Conference games being out there on the West Coast. Looking at the Western Conference standings, of course, San Diego has exceeded everybody's expectations right there in the Shield race. Vancouver, of course, another team that's exceeded expectations under Jesper Sorensen in his first year. You have Minnesota as well. Seattle, as usual, doing their thing. They have LAFC, Portland, Austin, Colorado, San Jose in that order. When you look at the Western Conference, is it as straightforward as saying, hey, San Diego will make it out or Vancouver will make it out? Or do you foresee a dark horse coming out of that Western Conference? Like, who do you have coming out?
No, it's a really good question. I'm a big believer, and history has told us, and the numbers back it up, it's really hard to be an expansion team and go on to win it in your first year. We saw what St. Louis did a couple of years ago, right? They won the Western Conference, and then they bowed out in the first round against their bitter rival, Sporting Kansas City. I was part of LAFC's broadcast in 2018. They took the league by storm, but then they were knocked out in the playoffs, I believe, by Seattle in that first year. So if I'm a gambling man, I'm going to say, I think the last team to do it was Chicago Fire in 1998. They came into the year with Bob Bradley. How ironic is that? Chris Armas, where you guys are going to face this weekend, was on that team. I think that's the last team only team to do it, is come in as an expansion team and win an MLS Cup. So if I'm a betting man, I'm going to say, and San Diego is good. I've covered them a few times. That's my hometown. And so it's been great to see the growth of that club down there and how they've come in by storm. But I just think it's too storybook to come in and think that you're going to win an MLS Cup title in your first season. So if you're giving me the field, I'm taking or San Diego, I'm taking the field. But on top of that, you asked about a dark horse, and they're not really a dark horse, but I love how Seattle has resurged this year. Brian Schmetzer knows how to get those guys revved up. They've added some really good pieces. Danny Musovski is having a career year like he has never had before. And, De La Vega is really good. Obed Vargas is one of the best young sixes in our league right now. The question will be is, come come the end of October and November, are they locked down defensively? Is it's Jackson Reagan and Yamar, the two center backs, are they both fit? A lot of it has to do with health, right? Because they have a lot of good pieces and a lot of depth. That team is deep. So if you're asking me, man. Yeah, if you're asking me about my team that I think has the horses to go all the way, I will put my pick on them.
And then may as well ask you about the East as well. You know, Philly up top there, Cincinnati, Nashville, Orlando, obviously Miami in the mix as well, even without Messi. Charlotte has found their legs again. They have NYC in Colorado. I feel like many people will go toward Miami since they have Messi, or Philadelphia, but what is your view there?
I honestly think that I really believe that the number of matches and the rigorous schedule of fixtures hurts Miami. And so if you're right, we've seen Messi be hurt a few times this season already, right? And you know, miss the All-Star game. But I think that Evander's on a mission. I really do. I think that team is very good. Yes, as we said earlier, right? That's the one really, really good team that they've had their number this season. But I think that Evander is on a case to be the MVP, and he is thriving being in a new environment out of Portland and in Cincinnati. They have more pieces around him. They've got I don't know if you guys have been there yet, but that's a great stadium to take a game into. Not as big as Mercedes-Benz, but it is fantastic right there in the downtown area. And if I'm picking, and that sounds like a fun final if you ask me, Seattle and FC Cincinnati. I mean, that could be a battle. That has some goals in it, you know.
Now, Mark, this season we have had 3 really big names that have joined the league. Thomas Müller going to Vancouver, Son Heung-min going to LAFC, and Rodrigo de Paul going to Miami. I mean, we've seen stars, succeed in this league, and those are 3 teams that have the potential to really do well the remainder of the season. But which one of those 3 do you think is going to perform the best? I guess I'll say by the end of this season.
I'm going to put it actually twofold. You can't, when you say the best, I'm going to slice it into 2 pieces in the pie. And I'm going to say, the best performer to me in that group is going to be Sonny in LAFC. I think he's going to, in a short amount of time, carve some defenders up real quick, because he's not far off the peak of his prime. Is he in the middle of it? No, but he's really not. It's not like he's way on the downside of the hill. I think he's gonna be a handful for people. But impact wise, I really want to see what Thomas Müller does. That team to me has a lot of really good pieces, but Vancouver needs a stabilizing piece that's just like been there and done that, right? In some crucial moments when you need to dig deep and just figure out a way to beat your opponent tactically, but also stay mentally sound. I think that he's that guy, right? Brian White is awesome up front. They have a pretty decent defense. They have a lot. When I go to Vancouver, I expect 4+ goals combined in every single game. It's just wide open flying on that turf up there at BC Place. And usually they're going to score 4 and the other team's going to score 2, right? That's usually the case. But it's a wide open game when you go to Vancouver to cover the Whitecaps. And I think that Thomas Müller is going to have them find ways to downshift at times. And guys, we don't have to play in 5th gear the whole time. Let's downshift. Let's keep the ball. Let's force the other team to chase us. Let's win 2-0 games. I love winning 4-2 games, but let's win 2-0 games. Let's win 1-0 games. A little more disciplined German outlook. I just think that they need a little bit of a stabilizing veteran presence like that. And I could be completely wrong, but that's just my take.
So I will say this. I got one final question for you, get you out of here, because I know you're running short on time. we had our MLS show back when Mueller that rumor was kind of floating around, and that was kind of what I said. I think he's not going to be the guy that's going to go and give you, a 15 or 20 goal and assist season. Yeah. I don't think he needs to be that guy. He just needs to be the guy that goes and controls everything about the game for the team he's playing for. And yeah, discipline is the word, in my opinion. I think he's perfect for
that. I think you would take, I think Vancouver over the stretch, let's just call it 10 more games, would take 2 goals and 3 assists, right? Like,
yeah,
but just drawing defenders and drawing numbers toward him, but not, I mean, Thomas Miller's not going to dribble by people. That's not what he's going to do. But combining with people goes back to what I said about Brad, right? Like, this guy is so experienced, has played on the biggest of stages in the world, whether it's club or country. He's seen it all. So he's going to probably take a couple of guys that are younger, that are flying around with their head cut off in practice even, and say, listen, man, calm it down. You have all the tools, but you're going way too fast. You're making it harder on yourself than you need to be.
Yeah.
And if that translates to in games, especially if, say, they have to go on the road somewhere, they've not been a good road playoff team in the last 5-6 years. I just think that will really, really help them. So to answer that original question was, I think impact wise for a team, I think the potential and ceiling for Thomas Mueller to do that is really, really big. But I think when we're talking numbers, Sonny's going to have, he could score 10 goals in the final 10 games of the season, because he could have a hat trick. He could have some ones here, maybe a brace here. And then you get into the playoffs and all of a sudden he's sitting on 9 goals already.
I like
with
it. We'll
with Bouanga putting him in some really good spots, I mean, that could be lethally one of the best 1-2 punches in the league if it all starts hitting on all cylinders.
Yeah, for sure. All right, last thing, and we'll roll. I was asked by our good friends over at Soccer Down Here. John wanted me to ask you if you would give a CIF preview, a California Interscholastic Federation.
Oh, jeez. Well, okay, I'll tell you this. I used to call the Friday Night Lights for Fox, the Fox affiliate down here. I used to call the Friday Night Lights game of the week in the CIF Southern section down here. We got some good football down here, that's for sure. But I have done zero homework on. You said it was John?
Yeah, John.
Who wanted to ask about it? John. So John, I've done zero homework in about 6 years. So I'll go with the big dogs. Mater Dei is always at the top of the list. St. John Bosco is always at the top of the list. And special shout out here, special shout out here. My daughter has enrolled as a freshman at Santa Margarita High School, who is now being coached by their former alma mater and former All-Pro quarterback Carson Palmer.
Oh, okay.
I hope that there's something in store in the Trinity League for the Santa Margarita Eagles, because that'll be a lot of fun for me to follow along and watch my daughter have some fun on some Friday nights too. So Carson Palmer leading the way. Another name that Falcons fans might recognize from his Saints days, 2-time All-Pro fullback Mike Carney is on that staff. TJ Hushamanzada is on that staff. So they are stacking up a good staff to hopefully lead these young men to some new heights.
Oh, sounds like it.
Best I can do, John. Best I can do, my man.
He said he was going to be taking notes, so there we go.
Fair enough. Real quick, speaking of Mater Dei, Nate Frazier, sophomore for UGA, running back, supposed to be the starter, I believe, this season for Georgia, Southern California, and then Brock Bowers, tight end, now in the NFL, is from Northern California, I believe. So California's been seeing some talent out east to Georgia over the past few years.
I'm hoping to grab Brock Bowers on my fantasy team, guys.
There you go.
Had him last year. We went all the way and took the money.
Terrific
so there
player.
you go.
Terrific player. Mark, we'll get you out of here. We'll really appreciate your time. Have a good call. Say hello to Marcelo for us. And then next time you talk to Matt Bretas, say hello to him as well.
I will. Bretos and I have been doing this soccer thing here since the Fox Sports World days, way back in 1999, maybe 2000. And hey, big ups to you guys for being dedicated to this and doing this every single week. It takes a village, and we're growing, guys. We're growing together, right? A rising tide raises all boats. So keep doing your thing. People are taking notice, and I hope to get out there and see you guys in person in Atlanta sometime soon.
Let us know if you're out here.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark. Talk to you
Appreciate
soon.
it, guys.
Have a good call.
Bye-bye.
You too. Mark Rogondino from MLS Season Pass joining us. Didn't know he called high school football in California.
Yeah, I know.
Didn't know his daughter goes to the same high school that Carson Palmer coaches at now.
I know, that's wild. John dropped that on me this morning when I was on the show with him, and I was like, hey, I'll ask. We'll see what he says. Then he mentioned him and Bretos have been doing this since 1999. And,
crazy.
Sometimes I'm at that point in my life where I'm starting to feel old and I get frustrated with it.
Because you are old.
Shut up, Henry. You weren't even born then.
Exactly.
I was throwing Pokemon cards around and worrying about Y2K at the time.
What's Y2K?
Shut up.
Oh my god!
Kick him out. Boot him. He's out.
We'll tell you later, Henry.
Oh gosh!
Must have skipped really that in history class.
Wait, do you really not know?
Yeah, I really don't know.
Oh my god!
Oh gosh! Look it up.
Oh, I'm putting this in the Discord now. Y'all go
really? Oh gosh, no.
Very entertaining.
It's nothing bad. But it's just
okay
that you don't know.
Put them in there right now.
While you do that, you mentioned they've been doing it for a while. The first exposure I've had to really soccer at large, outside of watching Carlos Valderrama with the Tampa Bay Mutiny, was back in the day in the 90s. Fox Sports Net used to do a show with Premier League highlights, and the guy who used to host it, his name was Lionel Bienvenu. It's actually the sports director for the ABC affiliate in Denver, ironically enough. So I'm sure he knows Marcelo Balboa. I'm sure he's very close to the Rabbits organization, but that's sort of one of my earliest exposures growing up to football. But yes, Henry, Y2K is just briefly people thought when computers changed from 1999 to 2000, it would reset because the computers wouldn't be equipped to handle 2000 because it was like 00 was 1900. And there was this whole panic. And then January 1st, 2000 rolls around and pretty much nothing happens. So
wow,
it was this
Y2K in a nutshell.
Because of the operating systems at the time, like they wouldn't understand the year 2000.
Yeah.
And it would shut down like banking and just computers in general. And then there was, I remember distinctly, there was this jerk in New York on New Year's Eve who, right when the ball dropped, pulled the power on like a section of Times Square and shut the power off. And he got arrested for it. Like,
wow.
It was wild. But yeah, it was like this big concern. Best Buy was putting up things that said, make sure you turn your computer off before midnight on December 31st. And it's like, dude, it was this whole thing. It was wild.
And then nothing happened.
Yeah, that's crazy. Y'all thought the world was gonna end.
Right. Pretty much.
I was just doing what I was told. I was like 10. All right.
Yeah. You gotta break free. You gotta break free from the mold, Tyler.
Yeah.
Anyway, how was I supposed to know about this? I was born after this.
Right. History class. You must have slept through it.
I didn't teach that in my history class.
Yeah, Dad. Y2K was nothing.
I survived COVID. I could survive anything at this point.
There you go. But yeah, good conversation with Mark. And just this is, again, like we said before, a Colorado team looking to keep its head above water in the playoff race. He mentioned Rafa Navarro, who was their joint leading scorer before Mihailovic left Colorado. That was their sole leading scorer with 9 goals, 3 assists. He mentioned Calvin Harris, 4 goals, 2 assists. Cole Bassett, 2 goals, 2 assists. Mentioned Mexe and Holding, I should say, as 2 players to keep an eye on. And then, of course, Noah Cobb, who he's going to figure into it at some point, and maybe a little bit of a chip on Noah's shoulder going into this match. Thinking about, hey, I should have had a little bit more opportunity with Noah. Good kid, obviously, but I mean, who knows? What are you guys feeling, I guess, Henry, first blush?
Dude, I feel like this is a massive game for him because he is. I remember talking to him, right? Like a few months ago when I did that feature on him, and he just absolutely loves Atlanta United.
Yes, he
Like
does.
his dream was always to play at Mercedes-Benz Stadium and just be an important player for this team. And I talked to Matt Lowry, assistant coach now, but former academy director and former coach of Noah Cobb. And he said so much, just praised him a lot for his attitude, for just the kind of person he is, how much he learns, he like absorbs everything that coaches throw at him. He's very, very competitive. And also I thought that was interesting. He called him future captain material. Like, and just hearing that, I was like, yeah, that has to happen, right? And then he gets loaned to Colorado. I'm like, it might not happen. And there's two ways that this goes, right? Like this loan, it seems like it was to get him playing time for the, I believe, U22, U20 World Cup, something like that. So he's going to be highly motivated to continue playing and continue like pushing his level to be on that squad and show that he deserves more chances with either Atlanta if he comes back or Colorado if they exercise his purchase option. Because Colorado, again, they just signed a center back. So there is potentially, will he get his opportunities there? This is a chance for him to show both Chris Armas and Ronnie Dyla that he is a valuable member. He can be a valuable member of both teams at some point. But specifically on this night, he's a valuable member for Colorado. Very good defender with still loads of potential. So I'm interested to see how he does. This is an interesting game for him because it is, it's against a club that he likes a lot. And I know that the competitor that he is, he's going to go into this team just wanting to win, into this game wanting to win. So we'll see what happens. But I feel like this has Noah Cobb goal written all over it.
Oh, well, Atlanta United fans would self-destruct if that happened. A header right into the net.
Yep.
Something like that. Some weird.
That's probably how it's going to happen.
Yeah, right. Brace yourselves.
The front office they might never hear the end of it.
Right.
Legitimately.
No, and even worse if he ends up staying in Colorado and becomes like one of the best center backs in the league.
Yeah, right. No kidding.
Like that would be holy fumble material.
Yeah, exactly. As if this team needed more. This front office needed more bad press.
I mean, there's not really any player that I ever hope goes somewhere and then balls out against Atlanta. But one I could throw the name in the hat would be Noah because he's such a good kid. Comes from a great family, and being a local guy. I mean, Chattanooga might as well be a suburb of Atlanta at this freaking point. But I mean, he's been around the block, and like you said, he loves the club. He's right there with like Luke Brennan. Genuinely loves the club. This is all they've known really for most of their life, or at least for a good portion of their life. So like, yeah, look, soccer's a business. I get that. But he's a kid who I would love to see him come back and be a consistent starter and long-term player for this club because I think he's got a very high ceiling.
No, definitely. And, Henry, you're talking about, his leadership. We saw it in the stripes. He wasn't afraid to get after guys, even though he was young, even though he was a kid. He wasn't afraid to call guys out. And he held himself to a high standard. And unfortunately, we didn't see enough Atlanta United players hold themselves to the same standard, sadly. But Noah was a player that left it on the line, left it on the pitch every single match. And I'm sure he'll do the same for Colorado, knowing that, hey, I got to show that I deserve a job here long term. And I wish him the best outside of Saturday, of course, but definitely wish him the best. He's a great kid, like you guys said, and deserves to be certainly not just in the mix nationally, but certainly the mix in MLS. He certainly has the talent and skill to be successful center back. Predictions.
It be that time.
What are we feeling as far as predictions? Henry, would you like to go first?
Yeah, whatever.
You made the sound first, so I'm going to you first.
I'm weighing a lot of options, but I'm just gonna say 3-0 Colorado.
Oh boy!
I do not trust this Atlanta team to score goals or even put together a semi-complete performance. Even if we do get more time with Juan Barracal and Steven Alzate. I just think, first of all, it's hard to play at altitude. I think that's going to be a significant factor on them. Ronnie Dyla has talked a lot about, this team's fitness and, they're having issues keeping their fitness and whatever. And that, that's worrisome when you're playing in your own stadium. How about playing a mile in the air? That's
barely above sea level.
A mile above sea level. Yeah. Like that just doesn't bode well for them. And so that's why I've got 3-0.
For me, it is 2-1 Colorado. I think it's a more competitive game. I do think the new guys make it more competitive and get everybody else involved a little bit more. But I just think the other factors are a little too much to overcome. And I'm trying to be super realistic here. I think Atlanta has a goal in them, but I think it's going to go to Colorado.
Feels pretty realistic. A goal.
Yeah.
A goal. Stress out a goal.
Yeah.
I said 1-0 Colorado. I kind of like with you guys. I feel like this attack just isn't cutting it at this point. Maybe Tyler, like you said, maybe Atlanta does score. Maybe we see Moranchuk pop up with another one, but I just don't know. Just too many variables, like Henry was saying, that will go into this. I say it's 1-0. I say it's Rafa Navarro who scores for the Rapids to continue his strong season, to get to double-digit goals. Like I said, again, this is a team that certainly is motivated, of course, one of their club legends, one of the best players of all time. The U.S. national team is going to be honored that night. They just traded away their best player this season, so they have something to prove. They have a chip on their shoulder. They're in that tight playoff race in the Western Conference, and they're looking to prove, hey, we are much bigger than Djordje Mihailovic. We can do this. We can get to the playoffs. Not only that, we can succeed in the playoffs if you give us the chance. So that is my prediction, though. 1-0 Colorado, and I think Atlanta United continues its struggles on the road. Taking a look at the chat, Omer saying 3-2 Atlanta. So he's saying a lot of goals. Bruno saying 6-4 Atlanta.
Oh my gosh, 10 goals in a game.
That's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah.
What would happen?
I said after what we just said, the predictions were all being super realistic. It's probably going to be some crap like a 10-goal game.
Dude, a
MLS
6-4
after
game
dark
would be wild.
That'd be amazing.
MLS after dark. Anything else, guys? What else?
Man, we got a lot more. We got Goat Soccer saying 3-1 Colorado, Tequila saying Colorado 3 and Moranchuk
1.
Yeah.
Possibly, could happen.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
Zilf saying Rapids 5-0.
Oh yeah, yeah. Good on Zilf. The thing is, what's so ridiculous about this season is I genuinely can't look at any of those and be like, oh yeah, that's out of the question. Even the 10-goal game.
How cruel would it be if Atlanta scored 4 goals in a game and still lost?
Oh my gosh. Sim to end.
Yeah.
If that happens.
Yeah. Start. Let's go. Colonel 1-1, Alexi in the 94th minute. Yeah, that's
right.
Right.
Yeah, no kidding.
Alexi banger.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're here for it. No celebration.
Right. Just run down the pitch. Just stone-faced. Like
doubling over, trying to catch his breath.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Altitude.
Puts on the oxygen mask real quick.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Again, scarfsandspikes.com, patreon.com/scarfsandspikes. Like, subscribe, share our content on YouTube. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeart. Leave a rating, leave a review. Let us know how we are doing. Henry has his Across the Pitch coming up on YouTube here in the next few days. Still trying to sort that out. And of course, we have coverage on scarsandspikes.com of the match. Tyler, where can people find you on social media?
ATL Pilgrim. Super
Henry,
easy.
where can people find you on social media?
H.A. Higita.
I'm at SH Wrights on X, SH Wrights SHWrights.bsky.social on Blue Sky, SH.soccer on Instagram and Threads, Scarves and Spikes on X, Scarves and Spikes.com, Blue Sky, Scarves and Spikes everywhere else, especially Facebook. Tommy is at Tommy ATL96 everywhere. Tommy is at a concert at the time of the show, so he was able to. It's 18th in a row or something like that. But I'm sure he would have appreciated the wrestling reference that Mark Rogondino made earlier. Again, thanks to Mark for his time joining us. And by the way, Bruno just reminded us we need to get Taylor Swift onto the podcast.
I'll work on it.
I mean,
work those connections.
Yeah, I feel like she has a few more connections with the New Heights guys, Travis and Jason Kelsey, than us here in Atlanta. But we will try to work at it. And if and when she's ready.
The worst anybody can ever say is no.
Yeah. Who are these guys again? All right. We're out of here. Thanks, everybody.
See ya. Cue the music. Okay.
Okay. Did either one of y'all go and try the sour punch straws and Coke?
Not yet.
No, I have not run and looked for those things in the 2 days since we talked.
You gotten gas in your car?
Well, not in the past 2 days.
Oh, well then that's.
You don't have to go to the gas
I'm probably
station
gonna get gas like tomorrow or Friday.
All right, well there you go. So tomorrow or Friday, go inside, get you some sour punch straws and a Coke.
What if they don't have sour punch straws?
And think of me. Well, then you need to go to a better gas station.
I go for the cheap gas, not the sour punch straws.
Right, exactly.
One time in your life, live a little, Henry.
All
Hey, by the way, how was Buc-ee's?
Oh, we didn't actually end up going. That was a whole thing, but we did actually end up going. So I still haven't gone. I'm saving that for our next Birmingham trip.
Yeah, there you go.
You've never been to Buc-ee's?
No.
Ever?
No.
Hi, Henry, come on.
Okay.
Get the beaver nuggets and thank me later.
Beaver nuggets?
Beaver
Yes.
nuggets.
Like, are they made of beaver? Or
No, they're not made of beaver.
No.
Nuggets.
Okay. It's just like the Bucky Beaver. Everything.
oh, okay. I'm just making sure, dude.
They're not literally beaver.
Okay, good.
The brisket sandwich is.
Yes.
And the
I've
beef.
heard good things about the brisket.
Yeah.
I'm most hyped about that.
I'll give you one thing. I don't actually like going to Buc-ee's. The only reason being, it adds at least an hour to the trip I'm already taking. And I just want to get to where I'm going. And if I stop at Buc-ee's to get gas, I inevitably come out with like $100 worth of crap that I don't need to be eating.
That's how they get you.
Yep.
Yep. Indeed.
All right. Anyway.
All right, y'all.
Yes, Buc-ee's. Come on. Let's go.